Hey folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Tuesday, February 25th. I am at the Indiana Convention Center back here in good old Indy for another NFL Combine. I was trying to think about I think this is the ninth year for me at the Combine. It's been 10 years since my first one, but I think I missed one in there. Good to be back. As always, just wrapped up our conversation with Steelers General Manager Omar Khan a little bit ago. Omar had a lot to say, so let's just dive into it. And let's start first and foremost, as Omar did, with the quarterback position. What did he say? What did he tell us about what's happening with the Steelers quarterback position? And I mean, he didn't give us a whole lot as I expected. Omar said that the team's preference is to do a deal with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. They have had conversations with the representatives of both Steelers incumbent quarterbacks, and his priority would be to have a deal done with one of those players before the start of free agency. I think that was really the one thing that we definitely learned from Omar today about the quarterback position, is that they are invested in getting this done before the start of free agency. He said that after the quarterback decision, that's when they can make other decisions about how they want to add to this team in terms of what kind of players they need to add to the offense, what kind of wide receiver they might want to sign, how much money they have to work with. He said everything goes after quarterback. And so he said he's focused on getting this deal done before the start of free agency, before the start of the new league year. And he said the players have been informed of that and appear to be on board. One of the potential hiccups for the Steelers in this process was if a guy like Justin Fields was like, no, I want to test the free agent market. I want to see what's out there. I have a desire to, having never been a free agent before, especially see what is out there. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like Khan and the Steelers are comfortable with what's going forward. Left today's meeting feeling that there's a near 100% chance that the Steelers will have a contract with either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson sometime between now and the start of free agency. As to which one, they're not going to tip their hand, and they're negotiating a deal, right? They can't give away that leverage to say, oh, we'd really prefer it to be this one, because that agent is going to say, oh, we heard you would prefer us. The price just went up another $5 million. They can't do that. They're not going to do that. But it does sound like they are committed to getting a deal done. The only way they can get a deal done before free agency is to sign one of their incumbent players. Guess they could make a trade also. Khan did talk about external options, specifically asked about trading for Matt Stafford. Declined to answer specifically about Stafford, said, until we have a guy under contract, I'm going to explore every option. And you can believe that, he did make a comment about there being a lot of fake news out there. I'm guessing that was in reference to the Trevor Lawrence stuff. But, it's reasonable to suspect that Omar Khan has been in contact with every potential free agent, trade agent out there at the quarterback position. But it seems like their focus is on re-signing a player, and I would be surprised if that player is not Justin Fields. But we'll see. They have to make a deal. It has to be a deal that both parties agree to, and they do want to keep Russell Wilson around as a leverage at the very least. And I don't think they would be like. I think if they had decided that there's no chance they were bringing Russell Wilson back, that they were not going to go down that road, they would have said so. I do believe they would be okay with a Russell Wilson return, but I believe they would prefer Justin Fields. Again, that's my thoughts. That's not what Omar said today. Let's move to wide receiver, where he said that they had a productive meeting with George Pickens after the season. He said George wants to be great. He wants to be great in Pittsburgh. The Steelers want him to be great in Pittsburgh. So they have a lot going on at the wide receiver position. He acknowledged that it wasn't good enough last year, which I think was big. Obviously it wasn't, but remember we talked last year, Mike Tomlin saying, you guys always want to talk about our wide receivers. Why do you want to say they're not good enough? Well, now here's Omar Khan saying, hey, we were right. The wide receivers weren't good enough, and that it is a priority for the offseason, but obviously a priority that is going to come after the quarterback situation is addressed. And so you have that to look forward to probably in the first week of free agency. He said they will be, again, active in free agency. He said just like we have been recently. So the team signed its biggest ever free agent contract last year to Patrick Queen. It sounds like they are prepping for another heavy investment in terms of free agency. They do have $60 million in cap space, as I broke down at SteelersNow.com this morning. If you are interested in that, I updated it from the new salary cap estimates and also since the signing of Donald Parham, so you can go check that out as well. But $60 million in off-season space, about 40-some million in functional spending ability, plus the ability, obviously, to make a whole lot more. So, yeah, all that's out there for them as well. kind of go around the roster, a couple other positions. Running back said they are open to a return from Najee Harris and have had conversations with his representative. I'm not expecting that. I don't think it's very likely, but they're not going to close the door. He did say they expect to tender Jaylen Warren and that he will be in Pittsburgh in 2025. On the offensive line, he said it's safe to expect that Broderick Jones will make the move from right tackle to left tackle, that Troy Fautana will be the right tackle moving forward. And he also said that Mason McCormick played really well, asked him about the potential of an upgraded guard, and he didn't outright say no, but he seemed to brush that idea aside, said Mason McCormick's really good for them last year. So it seems to be that their offensive line group is set for the 2025 season as we sit here right now. On the defensive side of the ball, he was asked about the cornerback position. Asked about Dante Jackson, highlighted Jackson's turnovers and said how big those were for him. Said they haven't been in touch with Jackson's representative. Didn't really get into specific details about what those conversations were like and what their thoughts might be at cornerback. And then asked about the overall investment in the defense. Said it wasn't good enough because we didn't win, but didn't say specifically that the idea of having the highest paid defense is something they're looking to avoid this year or anything like that. It's more about for him adding the right pieces and the right players. And then when turning the page forward to the 2025 NFL draft, which, by the way, is the reason we're here in Indianapolis, he said that the defensive line and running back positions were two that he mentioned being deep in the draft, especially defensive line. And said there is a desire to start the process of rebuilding that defensive line unit. I would be pretty surprised if they don't address defensive line early. In fact, I would bet that it will be their first round draft pick. Lots of those guys here this week, including Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant and Derek Harmon, who I believe are the three options for them at 21. A couple other things here before we wrap it up. He was asked about his two trade deadline trades. Obviously, those did not pan out in significant ways in terms of Mike Williams and Preston Smith being big parts of the team down the stretch run and in the postseason. But Omar said they were satisfied with what they got out of those players. And he said if he could make those trades again right now, he would. I think that's an interesting take, given the way the fan base was very upset about the lack of usage of Mike Williams and the overall struggles of the wide receiver position. Finally, he was asked about the idea of a rebuild and what gives him hope, confidence that this team is capable of making a run sooner rather than later. And he said he believes that they are only a few pieces away from being a team that can be in contention. He may be right, but I think those pieces are ones that are going to be hard for them to find this offseason. We will see. All right, that's all I got time for today. Got a whole bunch of stuff to write. Please go over to SteelersNow.com. We're going to have the site full of stuff, content from Omar today, plus, all the other general managers are speaking, so I'm sure we're going to find out about things like whether the Falcons are going to cut Kirk Cousins or whether Christian Kirk is going to be available. And John Lynch is talking tomorrow, so we won't hear about Deebo Samuel. But, the whole 9 yards in terms of the GM day at the Combine coming for you over at SteelersNow.com, so make sure you check that out. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing here on the YouTube platform. I'll be back here, maybe not in this exact seat, but somewhere back here in Indy at 5 p.m. With Smitty. 6 for you, 5 for me. And more reaction from the day's news on Steelers Afternoon Drive. That's all I got for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.